Thank you, everybody, for coming and being here with us this morning. It is a joy to share Sundays. I love Sundays. My name is Lorna. This is Swami Bharati, and it's our great pleasure to be here with you this morning. To be able to come together and share these teachings, to share the light, to share divine friendship, the incredible music that we have been blessed with, is a pretty wonderful way to spend a morning. This topic is really interesting. I want to start with awareness, with the affirmation. Almost every week we stand up here and say, this is the essence of the spiritual path. So pay attention, because this is the essence of the spiritual path. Again, and the essence is expanding awareness. This is what Ananda is doing. This is what the masters come to tell us, is that our view is small, and what we need to do is expand. What we need to do is become more aware. And it's a slow process. But everything we do here on Sunday mornings, every song we sing, every chant, every prayer, everything we do is about taking our little awareness and trying to make it bigger, trying to expand into something that is greater than our little egoic self. And it's this line in that Swami Kriyananda wrote these, the affirmations, as well as the readings that we do on our topics every week. And this affirmation book is really quite amazing. If you don't have it, I would really encourage you to get it. Affirmations for Self-Healing. This line that we need to change our focus from what we're aware of to what we're aware with is something we can meditate on for a long time. It's a very fascinating idea, that we're not trying to expand our awareness into more and more stuff and more experiences and more sensory perception. I've seen lots of science fiction stories and movies, and there's always the plot of somebody who, from hooking up to some supercomputer or getting, mind melding with some alien, or through some strange circumstances, gets to have super awareness, and they become aware of everything, everybody's thoughts, everybody's, all the sounds, it always ends badly. It's never a good thing, because it always goes bad. It's just because it's the type of awareness that's on the surface. It's this idea that somehow we can become more and more aware through our senses, and on a very thin sort of veneer throughout with our mind and with our intellect. And it doesn't work that way. What Swami is telling us, what the masters tell us all the time, is the awareness has to come from within. And we're aware, we have to try to become more aware with our soul nature, more aware with our spiritual nature, the infinity of our true self with the big S. That's what we're trying to become aware with. And the more we do that, the easier it is to surrender, which is the other part of our topic. This is what Jesus was able to do at the Garden of Gethsemane. It's so inspiring and incredibly touching and poignant and painful, and that whole story, and him being there in the garden, knowing what was going to happen, the crucifixion to come, and praying to God, Lord, let this cup pass from me. And what Yogananda explained was that his prayer was not, I don't want to do this. Is there somebody else that can do this? Because this is not going to be fun. I don't want to do this. His prayer was, this is a real sad part of the story. Now, Did you ever read? I have 3 kids, and so I used to read to them a lot when I was little, when they were little. I was littler too. And I used to read to them, and often when I get to the part of the story that I knew was going to be hard, there was part of me that wanted to skip over it. Let's just skip that part and move to the happy ending part. I know people adults who read novels and all that way. They'll just sort of read the beginning, then they'll read the ending, and they'll just kind of skip the middle part. Because our hearts just don't want to do that. And Jesus, his awareness was of an avatar. His awareness was of the entire picture. He was not only aware of being in the garden there with his disciples and aware of Judas's betrayal and the priests and the hatred and the circumstances that he was in at that moment. He was aware of the entire story. And so his heart was saying, this is the hard part of the story. Here's where God is putting out as much love, as infinite, inconceivable love. And here's where we don't understand and we reject it. And he was saying, this, if it's your will, let's skip over this part of the story. But then he said, let your will be done, not mine. This is not about, the pain of the moment or the difficulty right now. This is about the whole story, the big story. And he could see that. And he could also see his disciples' limitations and their inability to see that. They were still, their awareness was certainly more than others, but they weren't yet at that place where they could see the whole thing. They were still at that place where a lot of their awareness and their experience was on the superficial level of the senses and their emotions and the pain in their heart, their worry about Jesus. This was quite a week they had just been through. This is have to remember, this is the week they started with the triumphant entry into Jerusalem and the healings and the miracles and being with Jesus all throughout that week, knowing that they were there under borrowed time. They knew that the priests were out to kill Jesus. Jesus had also been talking about the end that was coming. And the disciples had been struggling with this all week. I can only imagine on a physical level what they were, the exhaustion, the fear, all the things that they were dealing with. And then Judas' betrayal, to find out that one of their own was not with them anymore. All of that, and there they are in the garden. And of course they fall asleep. They're on a human level, it's very, very understandable. Their awareness was not yet at that level of expansion that Christ was. But that's the direction we want to go. That's where we want to move toward, is that complete awareness of the whole thing, of the divine will, the divine light, that divine infinite love in every moment. And then what are we surrendering? What is it that we have to give up to get there? The other day I was at Home Depot. I work my other job. My day job is Home Depot. And I have a lot of fun there. It's really actually quite a lot of fun. I meet all kinds of people, and it's quite a study in human nature. And it's physically fun. I get to move around a lot and be outside and water flowers and all kinds of things. And I went outside. I was on the late evening where I was going to be closing the store. So my lunch break was actually at 7 o'clock at night. So I went outside. I had my lunch in my car. I usually go out to my car during my lunch break and sit and listen. I usually have one of the Ananda ministers talking on a CD, or I read or something. I go out to the parking lot. So I go out, and instead of shutting myself in my car, I look up into the sky. It was an amazing sunset. The sky was all turning pink and purple. It was just gorgeous, and it was so warm, and the air was so soft, and it was fairly quiet out there, which is pretty weird. There's Home Depot here behind me, and Chuck E. Cheese's right in front of me. so I'm in the parking lot and looking up at the sky, and I just got into my car, took out my lunch, put it on the back of my car, and just stood out in the parking lot and ate my lunch and watched the sky. And it was just the perfect timing that I was there during that half hour, right when the sun was doing this amazing show. And it's just, it's just so expansive and beautiful. And so what do I do, of course, as it's winding down? I whip out my new cell phone, and I want to take pictures, so I take some pictures of it and play around with my phone and try to capture this on this little machine. And, now I have these little pictures that I can bring up on my cell phone that are this big and look at that sky. And it's sweet because I can remember, being out there. But if I took that little picture and went and showed you and said, look, here's the sky, and this is the sky, and if anybody asked me where the sky was, I say, I've got it right here in my cell phone, this is the sky, you'd think I was a little bit crazy, because this is just this little tiny piece, this little tiny facsimile, when we know that we can go out and look at the sky and have that experience of the sky. And those little small things are what we have to surrender. Divine Mother is like a preschool teacher I saw once who knows that if there's a child holding on really tight to something, you don't try to pry their fingers off of it and get them to let go, or try to convince them by talking to them that they need to let go. What you do is you try to offer them something else. So if you try to offer them something else and say, here, would you like to look at this? What do? They let go, of course, and they go for what it is you're offering them. And that's what Divine Mother's doing all the time, is just offering us the whole sky and trying to get us to let go of these little pieces that we have that we're holding on to so strongly. Do you guys remember that game? When I was thinking about this, I remembered this game I used to play with my friends. It was one of these paper games, and you'd make this grid out on paper of all these little dots. You'd make the grid out on the paper. It would take you forever to do this, but you do it. Eventually they came out with printed sheets you could get, but we would make all the little dots, and then you would take turns drawing lines connecting just two dots. So you would draw two dots, and then your friend would draw a little line between two dots. And you'd keep going like that, and the goal was to make boxes, to make little boxes. And so you'd make your little box, and you'd put your initial in it, and the person with the most boxes won at the end, make all these little boxes. Swami Kriyananda actually wrote a song called More Boxes, No Thank You. and it's what the human mind wants to do, is to make lots of little boxes, make lots of little things and say, this is this, and this is this. And what we're trying to do when we come onto the spiritual path, we're really doing it all the time, even when we're not consciously on the spiritual path. We're constantly looking for ways to expand our awareness and break out of those boxes. But when we come on the spiritual path, it's much more a conscious decision. This is what I want. I want more. I want the whole sky. I don't want just the little boxes. And so we're trying all the time to break out of that and expand our awareness. Once we get more and more of that experience of expanded awareness, and like I said, then it's much easier to surrender. Then it's much easier to let go and say, of course, God, please, take it. I want the whole thing. There was a school teacher asking all of her students in the classroom what they want to be when they grow up. And all the kids went around saying, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a ballerina when I grow up, I'm going to be a zookeeper, and I'm going to be a dentist, and all these things. And they got to little Johnny. Johnny's always in all these stories. Johnny gets around. They got to little Johnny. and the teacher said, well, what are you going to be when you grow up? And he said, I want to be possible. She said, well, explain. What do you mean by what you want to be possible? He says, my mom is always telling me I'm impossible, so when I grow up, I want to be possible. There's something quite profound about that. Not really sure what, but there's something quite profound about wanting to be possible. When we come on the spiritual path, we start getting little glimpses of the possibilities of how expanded our consciousness can be. And what a joy we get every time we let go of just a little, we surrender just a little bit more. We come to purification service Sunday mornings, and we try to let go of just a little bit more. We get a sense of that joy of what it would be like to let go of all of it, just all of it. And then we go back to our little fear about, I don't know about that. And then we keep trying. We just keep trying. It's all, as we say, it's directional. We keep moving in that direction. And Swami Kriyananda talked about us having, that we're just a bundle of self-definitions. Swami Kriyananda is the founder of Ananda, the reason why Ananda Portland and everything here exists. He was a direct disciple of Yogananda. His picture's over there. And he had a wonderful way of taking these cosmic truths and bringing them down to where they're real accessible. And this is a line that we often repeat. He said, we're just a bundle of self-definitions of what we think we are in those little boxes that we keep drawing. I had an interesting experience in Home Depot. Actually, I had many, but we don't have time for me to go into all of them. So one interesting experience I had at Home Depot one morning was a woman who came in. She wanted to get some big bags of mulch or something that I was helping her load. It's very interesting. I work in the garden department, which means that I don't just get to water flowers. We also have big, heavy rocks, retaining wall stuff and pavers and big bags of mulch and stones and all kinds of things that we move. And I get to be real physical and do that. And people are constantly saying, can we go get somebody else? I can say, that's me. Here I am with the little orange apron. This is what I get to do. So this woman was very sweet, very nice lady. Physically, she was very small, very, very petite, incredibly thin, just not, I couldn't see any muscles on her at all. And really pale, and just, very, very light and bright, but not somebody you would think of as, strong. So I went to lift these. She said, "Oh yeah, thank you so much for helping. I look really strong, but I'm really not." And I pondered this for days afterwards. I really did. I just thought, this is the definitions, the way we see ourselves is just so interesting. It's just so, I just got to work and helped her with her stuff, but I just kept thinking about that and picturing her in my mind and thinking, I look really strong, but I'm not. And this was just one of her self-definitions. And it's so complicated. So she thinks she looks strong, but then the second part of this is she really doesn't believe that she's strong. So there's these really, Master Yogananda called it thwarting cross currents of ego. We have all these different messages and all these little boxes that just completely complicate the picture. And then we get gentlemen in there who want to, perhaps older gentlemen that no longer can have the body strength that they used to, and they really need help, but they really don't want to accept it from me because I'm a girl. And then we get others, who are perfectly capable of being, of loading tons of rock all day long, and they stand back and say, somebody going to do this for me, something. It's just the definition, the way we see ourselves. It's just very fascinating, and it constantly reminds me as I have all these interactions of just how small we keep things, and the way Divine Mother sees us, the way the Masters see us. Once you have that and expanded awareness, is they see the truth. They see us for what we really are. Yogananda said, if you could only see yourselves as I see you, you're all just beautiful light. You're all just beings of light. And it wasn't just a pep talk. It wasn't just him being sweet and, uplifting everybody and trying to get them to feel better about themselves. This is really how he sees us. This is what happens when you have that awareness of the truth behind the story, is that that's how you see things, with light. I was thinking about reading, we always read from Whispers from Eternity, Yogananda's book of prayer demands and poems, to add to our morning. And Samadhi is a poem that he did to try to explain, to try to put into words that experience of expanded awareness. So I was looking through that. It's a long poem. It's wonderful. He advised everybody to memorize it if possible, and it's a wonderful exercise in trying to tune into that expanded awareness. But I was trying to find a way of, reading part of that or something, and I couldn't. It didn't work, and I thought, one of the beauties of this path of self-realization is that we need to start where we are. We need to stand firmly on the ground that we feel comfortable on, and where we are, where our little self-definitions are, where our little misunderstandings are, and then just move forward from there. And for all of us, it's a little different. It's a different movement forward. And remember that all else is ignorance. I love that in the Bhagavad Gita reading this morning. At the last, after he describes all the incredible perfection of that consciousness, and then at the end he says, all else is ignorance. Is that somebody's phone, or is it one of the, I don't know. All else is ignorance. It's not wrong. It's not, we're going to burn in hell forever. It's not, it shouldn't hold us back that we have ignorance. It's just, it's ignorant. It's just we don't know. We're not there yet. We're not quite aware as much as we would like to be. So we just need to move forward from where we are. So I turn to the children's section in Whispers from Eternity, because that's what I feel like. I feel like a child on Master's lap, just trying to figure this out. I bow to thee in the sunshine, the breeze, the dawn, and hearts of loving friends. This is a part in the back that Yogananda wrote, Prayer Demands for Children. Dear Heavenly Father, when I slake my thirst with cool water, it is thy nourishment which refreshes me. When I wash myself, I make myself clean for thee, even as thou dost want my heart's feelings always to be pure. When I feel the sunshine on my face and skin, I feel thy love in that warm touch. I bow to thee in the sunshine, in the breezes, in the dawn, the noon, and the evening light. And I bow to thee in the forms of all those who love me. Om.